and over 198,000 published studies. That's more than all the studies on vitamin C, vitamin E, vitamin A, vitamin D, CoQ10, superoxide dismutase. All the other antioxidants combined don't equal that. It's the most studied because it impacts the most things. Okay, it performs over 400 functions that we know about. Nothing else we know. There's not even oxygen transfer without it. There's no immune response. Your immune response becomes a wimp without it. Can't kill anything, bacteria, viruses, or anything. Your cells clog up with chemicals. Everybody on this call has at least 200 industrial chemicals in their body right now. And the only hope of getting those out is glutathione. Why are we different than anybody else? It's because of hydrostat, our delivery mechanism. Now, you can pay $300 for an IV infusion of glutathione. Now, wouldn't you think that would be the best? It's the most expensive, but look what happens. This represents a glutathione molecule, and it comes into your bloodstream through an IV. You know what the blood does to it? I just checked it out and just to make sure all my facts are right. It breaks it into 3 parts. You see, glutathione is a tripeptide: glycine, glutamic acid, and cysteine. Those 3 things, okay? Well, the IV, it's in the blood long enough for it to break them apart. And what gets delivered to the cells isn't glutathione at all. It's these 3 peptides go into the cell. That takes a while. Once it's in the cell, then the cell has to reconstruct these, and it can do it pretty fast, about 26 minutes. And it's not super efficient. But now you have a problem of half-life. In 90 minutes, it's only half as potent as it was when it entered the cell. 90 minutes, an hour and a half. You just paid $300 for what you think is the best form of glutathione. Well, that doesn't work. Why is glutathione so hard to deliver? All these scientists that have done these 198,000 studies know it's the most critical molecule to life. Now listen to this, 3 things. Life, if you're not writing this down, hopefully you'll watch the recording of this. Life, and that includes lifespan. Health, whether or not you get sick, how quick you are to get sick, how quick you are to recover from sickness. And performance, how you perform through your day. Everybody on this call is a performer. You wake up and life doesn't end when you wake up. You know, some of you go back to sleep, but you're not going to make any money or put food on the table if you do that. You got to get up and perform. How well you perform is entirely dependent on glutathione levels. If you're in a disease state, if you have compromised factors, obesity, overweight, malnutrition, injuries, then your glutathione levels are even lower. Your glutathione levels decline by 8 to 15% per decade. I'm 77. That means my body produces 65% less glutathione today than it did at the age of 20. But all of my critical numbers are where they were in my early 30s. I'm not on any medication. Now, if I needed it, my doctor would put me on it. If I needed to be on statins, if I needed to be on blood pressure, but no, none of that. I've been into glutathione, honestly, since 2006. So we know, honestly, an IV is not the most efficient use of your dollars. So what happens is when glutathione gets into the stomach, the stomach acid breaks it. And your cells will not accept a broken molecule. Bad news, okay? So to get around that, you see glutathione, this represents a cell. A cell is 100 nanometers in diameter. One strand of your hair is 80,000 nanometers in diameter. 100 nanometers, and the little pores in the cellular membrane are only 10 nanometers. Well, glutathione by itself is just at 1 nanometer, actually a little bit less, 0.8 of a nanometer to 1 nanometer. So it easily by itself could get into that pore. Problem is, it's never going to get to that pore because your stomach breaks it up unless it is encapsulated. So manufacturers, all the glutathione you look at on the market these days, whether it's internet, any competitor, they encapsulate with fats, lipids. Okay, now when they put that lipid encapsulation, can that get into the pore? Too big, can't get in there. So it sits on top of the cell and relies on outside energy forces to push it into the cellular wall. What little makes it into the wall now has to get through the wall and make it into the cytoplasm of the cell, or it's not effective, not efficient, like riding a bicycle uphill in the wind in high gear. Pedal fast, move slow, may not make it to the top. What have we done with hydrostat? We've taken that molecule. By the way, this takes a molecule, lipids take it from 55 nanometers all the way up to 300. Pour in the cell, passive diffusion, only 10 nanometers. Now, here's the good news. We found a way to encapsulate with water molecules. Bad news, won't protect it through the stomach. Okay? But we don't have to worry about that because we're entering primarily through the mucous membranes inside your cheeks. Anything under 300 nanometers can be absorbed into the bloodstream through your cheeks. And what happens then? Okay, it's in the bloodstream for one pass of circulation. And during that one pass of circulation, it exits and goes right into the cells, not sitting on top of the cells, but coming through the pores through passive diffusion, not requiring any other energy source. That has now been proved, folks. Nobody else in the world has the proof that we have that we do that. But we already knew we did that. Why? Because you couldn't see the results that we see without that.